Only one place to start, though. Chelsea are keeping us all busy this summer. Cavi, what's the very latest tonight?
Well, I think Chelsea are getting closer to a deal to sign Kai Havertz from Bayer Leverkusen, and it's likely to cost up to €100 million. Now, that is a really important figure as far as Bayer Leverkusen are concerned, because that is the value they set on the player, because he's only 21 years old. He's arguably one of the best young players in the world at the moment, and they've been very consistent. They've said, if you want to sign Kai Havertz this summer, that is what it's going to take to get him. Now, Chelsea initially were reluctant to pay that much, especially in the current economic climate, but I think they're getting closer to the kind of deal whereby Leverkusen could say, yes, we got our asking price, but then Chelsea could say, look, when you factor into the instalments, the down payment, the bonuses, we're actually getting him for less than that figure. But I think progress is being made, and it's likely to end with Chelsea signing Kai Havertz for probably something like £70 million plus about £20 million in add-ons, which would be a total of £90 million, which would come to €100 million. So everybody would be happy. Leverkusen would be happy. Chelsea would be happy. Chelsea supporters would be ecstatic. And also, a really important thing in this is Kai Havertz himself. He wants to play in the Premier League, he wants to play for Chelsea, and he wants to play for Frank Lampard.
Speaking to senior figures in the game over the weekend, they are all saying the same thing, aren't they, Cavi, in terms of this pandemic? They're saying it's just not hitting the big clubs in the way that some might think. It's being massively felt throughout the game, but those big top-tier clubs, they're still spending big.
I think especially Chelsea. I mean, obviously Chelsea are owned by Roman Abramovich. He's one of the richest men in the world, and there had been question marks over how much he was committed to Chelsea. But we're seeing again, he is fully committed to the club. He's fully committed to backing Frank Lampard. They came fourth last year. They got into the Champions League, but fourth is not good enough for Chelsea. It's not good enough for Roman Abramovich. That's why we've seen him back Frank Lampard, sign Hakim Ziyech, sign Timo Werner. Kai Havertz is on the way as well, and we know Frank Lampard wants more players, left back, centre back, goalkeeper. So if you're a Chelsea supporter, it's been a fantastic summer so far at Stamford Bridge, and I think it's going to get even better.
Just waiting for the developments regarding Thiago Silva. I'm told that's done, that it's agreed. It's just a case of waiting for the announcement here. A big surprise now this didn't go through. Frustration for him in the Champions League final last night, obviously losing to Bayern. 36 next month. But Lampard's made it pretty clear, hasn't he, in the build-up to this window. He really wants experience at the back.
I mean, a lot of Chelsea supporters were watching that Champions League final last night. They were watching Thiago Silva very, very closely. They might not see him as much, obviously, as they see players in the Premier League, but they wanted to see, has he still got it at the top level? How's he going to cope with players like Robert Lewandowski, for instance? And what we saw last night is he still has got it. And Chelsea have got a problem in defence. They've got a problem in their centre of their defence. They don't have an experienced leader, a captain figure. That is what he will bring to the club. And bear in mind, nobody in the Premier League, top half of the table, conceded more goals than Chelsea last season. 54 goals they conceded in the Premier League. That is simply not good enough for Chelsea. That is why Frank Lampard wants the experience of Thiago Silva at the back. And from what you're saying and what you're hearing right now, it looks like that deal is done.
Just to sum up, we've all spoken to Frank Lampard, particularly during this pandemic. He has always strengthened that need to strengthen the back. Does a busier summer in this window put any more pressure on him? The Chelsea job comes with pressure, of course, but does it put any additional pressure on him?
I think it does. I think if you are the Chelsea manager, you have to deliver success. Since Roman Abramovich has bought the club, no English club have won more trophies. And he's done that by using quite a few managers. Managers don't get a lot of time at Chelsea. Under normal circumstances, if you're a Chelsea manager and you'd finished fourth, you would lose your job. So I think Frank Lampard has had his honeymoon period. Now he's being backed by Roman Abramovich. He's getting the players he wants. He has to deliver. So he will be under more pressure next season.
I think, though, that Frank Lampard has brought a bit of credit as far as Chelsea are concerned. You'll remember last summer they were banned from getting any players because they had a transfer ban. They decided not to go into the market at all in January. So you could say that, yes, they are buying so many players at the moment, the likes of Havert, the likes of Ziyech, the likes of Timo Werner as well, Thiago Silva. But these are the first signings that Frank Lampard will have made. So he looked at that Chelsea squad, looked what he had, and now, after a season of doing that, it was a calculated risk, actually, and he did get top 4. So you say normally it would be a sacking as far as the Chelsea manager is concerned, but because he bought that credit and because Roman Abramovich knew he couldn't bring any players in last summer, I think that he's probably deserved this chance.
Even if Chelsea don't get Kai Havertz, if you look at their front three option for next season, you're looking at Hakim Ziyech, Timo Werner and Christian Pulisic. That is still a world-class front three. There are not too many front threes in the world that are better than that. But Chelsea are looking at that and saying, no, we want more. We want Kai Havertz as well. So even if they don't get him, I think they're going to be a lot closer to Manchester City and Liverpool next season because they've been doing so much good business and we're expecting them to do even more.
Keep your questions coming into us on Twitter here at Sky Sports News. King Treasure has said, is Ben Chilwell currently having a medical at Chelsea?
That's a very good question. What we can say is that Ben Chilwell is very close to becoming a Chelsea player. One of the issues that has been holding up the deal is the fact that he's had this heel injury. He missed the last 5 games of the season. If Chelsea were to sign him now, there are question marks over how long he would be out for. He could be out for 3 weeks. He could be out for 6 weeks. Obviously, if he's going to be out for 6 weeks, that means missing the start of the season, missing pre-season. So Chelsea have to be very, very sure when it comes to the medical about whether to proceed with the deal. I think they will almost certainly proceed with the deal because I don't think the issue is that serious. But that is one of the reasons that the deal is being held up at the moment. Chelsea just checking out that injury. And what we've been hearing from different sources, I know a lot of our reporters here have good contacts with Ben Chilwell's camp. I think a lot of agents involved in the deal actually are in the south of France at the moment, but that is not holding them back. That is not a reason why the deal is not going to be done. We still expect that deal to be done pretty imminently, I think.